Urban loneliness, alone in the crowd. In a city full of life and energy, surrounded by thousands of others, you'd think loneliness wouldn't exist. But in this very crowd, many people feel profoundly alone. Today, we're exploring the paradox of urban loneliness. What is it? Why do so many people experience it in cities? And perhaps most importantly, can we find something valuable in this loneliness? Sociologists often describe cities as places of urban anonymity, a space where you can easily disappear in the crowd. For many, this feels liberating. You can be whoever you want, without anyone watching too closely. But anonymity has a darker side as well. Studies show that anonymity can heighten our sense of isolation. When we're just one of many, without a direct connection to those around us, loneliness can quickly take hold. It's a kind of paradox. The freedom to be invisible can also leave us feeling unseen. Can we perhaps find peace in the idea that no one is constantly observing us? Maybe the city, in its anonymity, also gives us the freedom to reconnect with ourselves. What do you think? Can the absence of others offer us a chance to discover ourselves? The design of cities can also impact our sense of connection. Tall buildings, narrow streets, crowded public spaces. These physical structures can feel overwhelming. Psychologically, the closed-in feeling of cities often raises stress levels and dampens our desire for social interaction. Psychologists have found that people in urban environments experience higher stress levels and are more likely to withdraw socially. This often happens unconsciously. We shut ourselves off as a form of protection against the sensory overload of the city. But maybe this feeling of confinement is also a metaphor for how we live our inner lives. How do we find space for ourselves in a world that feels increasingly full? Perhaps the crowded city invites us to pause and embrace the quiet within. Social media also plays a role in shaping our experience of loneliness. Ironically, the digital connections we have often make us feel disconnected from the world around us. We get a sense of connection, but often without the depth of real human contact. Research shows that although social media keeps us constantly in touch, it can also create a feeling of emptiness. We have many connections, but most interactions remain shallow and unfulfilling. Can we truly feel connected through screens, or is connection something that can only arise in physical closeness? What if true connection isn't about how often we speak, but about how deeply we can touch each other, even without words? Perhaps there's a lesson in the silence between screens. Despite the anonymity and digital disconnection, cities also offer opportunities for connection. Sociologists refer to these as micro-communities, small, meaningful spaces within the city, like neighborhood markets, hobby groups, or parks, where people can come together without pressure or expectation. Research highlights the importance of small communities as a buffer against urban loneliness. By finding meaningful connections on a small scale, we can experience a sense of belonging that goes deeper than surface-level interactions. Perhaps the key to connection lies in small, meaningful moments. In micro-communities, we may find something larger, a sense of home, even amid the chaos of the city. What do you think? Is it possible to find something vast in the smallest of connections? Urban loneliness is not a problem with an easy solution. But the city is not only a place of anonymity and isolation, it's also a space full of opportunities for connection and reflection. Perhaps the beauty of the city lies precisely in its contradictions: freedom and loneliness, distance and connection. Do you ever feel alone in the city? And what does that loneliness mean to you? Perhaps, in moments of solitude, we can find an opportunity to know ourselves better, even in the busiest of places.